Hello, welcome back. This video I wanted to talk about social media and how I use it and how I view it and how I interact with it from an Asperger's point of view. Social media has become quite an integral part of my life. It's not, I suppose it is obsessive because I'm constantly checking my social media, but not necessarily for the reasons you might think or what NT people would be checking their social media for constantly. Although actually saying that, there are some crossovers, I suppose. For me, social media has become a great source of validation. Helps me feel like I am that I'm somebody, that I am doing something worthwhile, worthy of merit. And that's quite important to me, I think, having this feeling of validation, people commenting on my posts. And my posts aren't about what's going on in my private life, because I don't use Facebook or social media to share my private life or intimate details of my private life. I don't put stuff on there if I'm having a meltdown or I'm suffering from stress or anxiety or any real issues about my Aspergers. I don't go on there and just open myself bare. I use social media as a means to connect with people, connect with a group of people or like-minded individuals that I can interact with almost on equal level, equal terms. They don't see somebody that's got autism or Asperger's, they just see my posts, and because I'm quite articulate and because the stuff I put on my social media has been predominantly always music or photographs and things associated with those two obsessive interests I've had in the last decade, because looking at my life in general, with all my struggles that I have with Asperger's, I do have a profound sense of underachievement in my life that's constantly with me. I feel like I should have done better. I feel like I should have done something more meaningful with my life. I should have a better job or career. I should have been able to find that niche thing that I could excel in and that I could be noticed and I would get validation from neurotypical people and I would feel part of a group. And I would feel like I was, what I was doing in my life was worthwhile. I sometimes, when I'm having darker days, I suppose, think I've wasted my life. I don't want to get too heavy and deep, but I do think that sometimes. I do think that my job isn't fulfilling me. None of my jobs have ever fulfilled me. And nothing I've done, apart from my music, which I now no longer do, and now my photography, I feel like they are valid things and I feel like they have end results and I feel like they can be something that can be held up against me and say, he's really good, and I'll remember him for being a really good musician, or I'll remember him for being a really good photographer. I've just got this kind of fear that I'm going to live my life and have nothing really to show for it. But that's looking at it from my Asperger's point of view. I'm not sure if NT people ever get that same sense of, I've wasted a life here. I wish. I look back now and think, well, if I had been diagnosed earlier, possibly I would have done things differently. I would have my life would have taken different directions. I'm not saying necessarily that they would have been for the better, but I think they would have been. So yeah, some social media then is my platform to basically try and excel in something and be a small somebody in some people's world, rather than this empty feeling of being nothing in nobody's world. I'm not talking about how your family views you, and your partner, because that's different. But I'm just talking about when you look back on your life, when you're old and grey and you're on your deathbed, and you think, well, what the fuck did I do with my life? I just did nothing. And I just feel, personally, I've got a lot of wasted potential. I don't feel I found the one thing that I can excel at. And I know my hobbies, my obsessive interests, I have taken to very high levels, and judging them by what a lot of NT people achieve in their lifetime, I probably have exceeded expectations. But in my own Asperger's worlds, I really feel I've got this empty feeling of not being fulfilled. I still feel I should have had a career. I still feel that I should have done something more meaningful for a job. I still feel that there is time possibly to find that, but the clock's ticking on that, and I'm getting to an age now where I don't think I'll ever find that one job that pays the bills and that I feel really happy with. Some of the jobs I've had in the past have been really shit paid, but they've been probably the best jobs I've had. The job I'm in now, I like, I tolerate. It has its ups and it has its downs, and I can't grumble about my place of work or my employer, because I'm grateful to have a decent paid job. I just feel like, as I've said in previous videos, going to work is just killing time for me, from my life that I'm never getting back. And as I said in previous video as well, if I ever won the lottery, what would change my life? Well, I just wouldn't go to work and I'd just do my special interest, and that would probably make me happy. So getting back to social media, I am obsessed about, I suppose, and I am slightly addicted to it, because I'm always looking for validation. I put a new photo on there, and if I get likes and comments, I feel like I've done something worthy, which is why I gave up the music. I didn't feel I was getting enough validation or feedback, and I gave it up because I felt like, well, I've gone far enough down this road now that I'm not getting that validation. I'm going to have to stop now and try a different path. And also, I think I got burnt out on my special interest. I think if my special interest, because I was so obsessed by it, I was probably cramming 20 years worth into just 5, and I pretty much burnt myself out musically and creatively. I didn't feel like I could make any giant steps forward anymore. I felt like I was treading water with my music, and that no one really cared. It wasn't making an impact really on anybody's life, and that was validated when I gave that up, because I didn't have loads of people saying to me, "Oh, you shouldn't have given up." I had lots of people say I shouldn't have stopped the website that I was running, but I got less pleasure from doing that over the years, because that wasn't something for me, that was something I was giving back to everybody else through my research and my obsessive interest. You know, I got enjoyment out of doing the research and the technical side of it and that, but I didn't have anyone rushing up to me after I announced that I was not going to be composing music anymore. I didn't have any people coming up saying, "Oh, it's such a shame." So that validated that decision, and that made it easier for me to move on to my photography, which is what is my new obsessive interest. You know, and I'm taking that to I'll take that as far as I can, I suppose. And I'm pretty certain that I'll burn myself out on that within I don't know how many years. I think though that's going to be an interest that I'll always possibly be able to combine with other aspects of my life, like holidays, and that I've always got those skills to take top quality photographs and still have time to do a new special interest. But yeah, social media, that's what I use as, it's almost like a leveling platform. You know, I'm on the, no one knows, you know, people do know I've got Aspergers, because, you know, I'm not shy in putting posts on social media about my autism to try and raise awareness, which is what these videos are, you know, all about. They're trying to help in some tiny way. They might help some people. They might be of some comfort. They might not. They might, you know, people might listen to these and think they're utter tosh, and other people might listen to them and actually get some sort of sliver of validation about themselves. You know, I'm not the only one that thinks like this. I'm not the only one that experiences these thoughts. So in that way, this is another form of my social media validation. You know, I put these videos out. I've had some feedback. I don't get a lot, and while I still get something out of them, I'll carry on doing them. But I am mindful that I am getting to the point possibly where I've exhausted many of the major topics, and that I'm gonna possibly, to move forward, I need suggestions what I can talk about, or I'm gonna have to get more niche and more specific, which, if people are still watching and listening to them now, they probably will listen and watch them as well. So I'm not going to stop anytime soon, but it would be nice to get a bit of feedback from people to say, you know, what are your thoughts on this, or, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing a video where you talk about this. And yeah, it's all part of the validation process. I just have this massive feeling that I need to connect with people and feel like I've got a place, because a lot of the time I don't feel like I've got a place. I feel like a fish out of water. I feel like I don't belong in this world because I don't understand how it works, and it all just seems like it's against me all the time. So sometimes connecting with like-minded people, which is all I use social media for, is good to be able to. Any social interaction and contact is good, and that's probably the only the interaction I have socially is through social media. Some of it's weird to say, but some of my best friends are people on Facebook I've never met, never been stood in front of them face to face, but they know me the best out of people that I've known for 20 years. I find it easier to open up on social media. You haven't got that anxiety of face-to-face social interaction, which is always a barrier when you're trying to make friends or be yourself, or, you know, just talk. Social media, it's a lot easier. You can hide behind the screen and you can just stop and start. You know, it's very, you know, I'm aware that if you're in front of someone, you can't just say, right, finish talking now, I'm off. I have done that. On social media, you know, it's kind of like, it's why I like text messaging, but text messaging white. It's you write words down, and I read them and I understand them. But when you're talking face to face to people, it's difficult sometimes to pick up on social cues and the underlying tones that people are sort of suggesting in their body language and facial expressions. That kind of takes all that ambiguity away when you're on social media. And I've got myself in hot water before where I've got completely the wrong end of the stick on social media because someone's trying to be funny or sarcastic in the written word, which obviously confuses the hell out of me because if you write something down, there's no black and white, there's no grey area. But anyway, I think I've rambled on enough now. I just thought I would talk about social media and how I actively seek it and enjoy it, and I have my reasons for it, which might not necessarily be the same reasons that other people have it for. So yeah, if you've got any thoughts or comments, please leave them. And thanks for watching again. Bye.